Welcome back to Tutorial Tuesday. Today, we prepare you for the inevitable question, but can you do a backflip? The answer will be yes. Obviously, because this is a backwards trick, some people might find some inhibition with going backwards over their head. If that is a problem for you, you can go back and watch the Makaku tutorial. That will help give you a feeling of going backwards over yourself and slightly off to one side. Another thing that you can practice doing is a backwards roll. You're going to do this by sitting back and then rolling backwards and coming back up onto your feet. This is essentially the same movement that you're going to be doing in the air in the backflip. I'm going to explain the backflip from the standing position. This can also be done out of a round off or off of a ledge. I'm going to be explaining this from standing on flat ground. When you're first learning this move, it's a good idea to find grass at the very least. It's better if you can find a foam pit or a trampoline to get a feeling for the motion, or old mattresses. Also, if you can get a friend to help spot you and keep you from landing on your head, that would also be ideal. As far as the technique for the backflip, we're going to start in a standing position and then bring your hands up over your head, and then you're going to swing them back behind you to begin momentum. As your arms come back in kind of this eagle position, you're going to be bending your knees, generally just slightly less than 90 degrees, maybe a little bit more, but try not to go too low, because the lower that you go, the more energy you will expend having to come all the way back up, and you lose the springiness. So the goal here is to be coming down and using your legs as the spring with your arms back. So your legs are ready to spring up and your arms are chambered here. You also want to make sure that your chest is set above your knees and not your hips. The reason being, if you set above your hips, you see I'm already starting to fall backwards. This is a back handspring setup. It will send you backwards and not up. So for the back tuck, we set with your shoulders above your knees so that when you spring with your knees and swing with your arms, everything goes up. Okay, so from this position you're coming up here, and what you want to do from this point is go up as high as you can, extend, jumping all the way through the toes, and you're going to keep your head in a neutral position. You don't want to whip your head back. It will send you backwards and not up, and you don't want to be looking down because you'll block all of your height. So keep your head in a neutral position out in front of you. When you're first learning, it's a really good idea to pick a target and focus on that target in front of you. You spot it. So you keep your head neutral as you're coming up, and practice just going up as high as you can and see where the height of your jump is. So the first thing to work on is a little progression to get a feel for it is bring your arms up, swing back, and then just jump. See how high up you get. Just get a feeling for that motion. Up. Okay. When you're feeling comfortable with jumping up like that, the next bit is going to be adding the tuck. In the backflip, the arms are simply just for your height, and it is actually the driving of the knees towards your chest that begins the rotation that sends you back over yourself. So, trying to stay upright as much as you can, rather than driving your knees back towards your shoulders, just drive them up and tuck into a ball. And again, just get a feeling for it. So, up, back, jump, tuck. All right, so you're just doing jump tucks right now. You're trying to get as high as you can on these jump tucks, because the higher up you get, the more time you have to get around and the less risk of injury there is with landing on your head. Once you're feeling comfortable with the height and the way that the tuck works, the next step is to commit to it. Now, if you're by yourself, I strongly recommend you get a trampoline so you have more air time just to get a feel for it, or mattresses or a foam pit in a gym. It's best to get a friend to spot you so that they can keep you up off the ground and they can help throw your legs over to get around, because a lot of times what happens when you're first trying it out is that you don't quite commit to it all the way and you end up rotating really, really slow. Or you'll try and tuck too early and you cancel out your height. But when you're ready for it, all you're going to do is put all the steps together. So you swing your arms back and chamber, and then you're going to jump and extend, again jumping all the way through your toes. Wait for the top of your jump, so your highest point, drive your knees up and back and tuck around. Keep your head in a neutral position until you feel yourself coming over yourself. And then all you're going to do from there is just look down to the ground, spot your landing, and open up. That's all that the landing is. It's pretty simple. It's just look down, land on your feet. So again, to put it all together, arms, swing, jump, tuck. Once you have your backflip down and you feel like it's at a pretty good standard, the next thing that you can do is attempt some variations. These variations can include things like doing your backflip off of a ledge. The main thing to remember with that is that while you don't necessarily need the height quite so much, depending on how high up you are, you do need to make sure you jump back away from your obstacle so you don't land back on it. You can also learn to do this move while kicking one leg, doing a flash kick, which looks like this. As soon as you take off, that leg is kicking around as hard as you can. And rather than your knees driving your rotation, that one leg is pulling you all the way through. Another variation is doing it out of a round-off. If you don't know what a round-off is, it's basically a cartwheel, but you spring off your hands, and you want to plant your feet down to the ground at about a 45-degree angle to block your momentum up. It looks kind of like this. And then you can do your back tuck out of that setup. The round-off is a good way to get extra height on the move, and some people find it's a more comfortable way for them to learn it in the first place. So if that is your preferred method, go ahead and do it that way. This concludes the backflip tutorial. It's fairly simple concept-wise. The biggest thing that gets people hung up is the fear of going backwards over themselves. If you're having trouble with this fear, again, get a friend to spot you, do it into a foam pit, onto crash mats, whatever makes you feel safer, and get as comfortable with that feeling as you can. With this move, because you are going backwards over your head, it's especially important to be as careful as you can, train in a safe environment. If you can, get friends to help spot you, help point out what you could be improving, and make sure that you don't land on your head. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I really hope it helped. Leave suggestions in the comments for future tutorials that you'd like to see, and we will see you next time. Bye. You're still here? I said go away. Leave me alone.